We all know the Middle East is often a tinderbox, but what if it actually explodes into a full-on war? That's what we're going to explore. A hypothetical but deeply researched conflict in 2026, a massive US and Israeli strike against Iran. And in doing so, we're going to have to tackle a really, really tough question. What does it even mean to win a war like this? Is it just about blowing up buildings and taking out leaders, or is it something else? That's the big question we're going to dig into today. And you'll see, pretty quickly, the answer is anything but simple. So, how does this all kick off? Well, not quietly, that's for sure. It begins with a massive, overwhelming bang. The strategy is what you'd call shock and awe, designed to completely cripple Iran's leadership right from the get-go. To really get how we got here, you gotta look at the lead-up. Back in June 2025, an initial conflict already roughed up Iran's defenses. Then, in early 2026, the regime brutally puts down huge protests inside the country. This leads the US president to promise that help is on the way. And by February 28th, that help arrives in the form of two giant air campaigns, America's Operation Epic Fury and Israel's Operation Roaring Lion. And the results of this opening salvo? I mean, it is just staggering. On the very first day, the strikes take out an estimated 40 of Iran's top political and military leaders. This isn't just a military operation, it's a decapitation. We're talking the supreme leader, the head of the powerful IRGC, the defense minister, all gone. Just like that. But hold on. If the US and Israel thought that was a knockout punch, well, they were dead wrong. Because Iran, even while it's reeling, has its own playbook. It's a strategy that isn't about matching F-35s. It's about fighting an asymmetric war. And this slide really lays out the two completely different philosophies at play here. On one side, you've got the raw, conventional power of the US and Israel, using their incredible air force to hit very specific, very important targets. But on the other side, Iran's goal is just to create chaos, to make the conflict bigger, wider, and so incredibly painful for everyone else that their enemies have no choice but to back off. And this quote, man, it just says it all, doesn't it? It's this brutal, scorched earth way of thinking. The logic is terrifyingly simple. If you're coming for us, we're going to make the cost of that victory so high for you, for your allies, and for the entire global economy that it won't be worth it. So what does that actually look like on the ground? Well, things get wild fast. Within hours, Iran kicks off Operation True Promise IV. Drones and missiles slam into U.S. bases and hit the capitals of Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE. It proves their decentralized command survived the first hit. They use swarms of cheap drones against billion-dollar defense systems, and they even pull off the unthinkable. They actually damage a stealth F-35. But all of that, it's just the prelude. Iran's real ace in the hole, it's all about the economy. They make their biggest move yet. They declare the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical waterways on the planet, is now closed to all shipping. Now, why is this such a colossal deal? Well, get this. About 20%, 1/5, of all the oil that travels by sea in the entire world has to pass through that one narrow strait. It's literally the jugular vein of the global energy supply. And the fallout? It's immediate, and it hits everybody in the wallet. Iran starts using mines, drones, and speedboats to disrupt shipping. And just like that, the price of oil skyrockets, almost doubling from $65 a barrel to over $120. That means pain at the pump for everyone, everywhere. And the real-world hit to the supply chain is just brutal. By the middle of March, oil exports coming out of the Gulf have dropped by a staggering 60%. The blockade is working. It's causing absolute maximum economic pain, just like Iran planned. So you'd think the world would rush in to help the U.S. reopen the strait, right? Wrong. The U.S. tries to get a coalition together, but its closest allies, even in NATO, say no. Their message is blunt. This is not our war. Suddenly, the world's only superpower is left to handle this massive global crisis pretty much all by itself. Okay, so now that we've seen the chaos unfold, the conventional strikes versus the asymmetric response, let's step back and actually score this thing. It's time to measure the outcome against what the US and Israel said they wanted to accomplish in the first place. Before this whole thing kicked off, the attackers were super clear about what they wanted to achieve. There were three big goals. Number 1, regime change in Tehran. Number 2, completely wipe out Iran's ability to ever build a nuclear bomb. And number 3,
neutralize Iran as a military threat in the region. So let's see how they did.
So let's start with the big one, the ultimate prize. Did they manage to topple the Iranian government? And the answer here is a pretty resounding no. It's a clear failure. As the analysis points out, even with dozens of its top leaders dead, the system itself is still standing. The ideology, the powerful institutions like the IRGC, and yeah, its millions of supporters, they're all still there. There's no big uprising from the people, and without a full-blown ground invasion, which nobody wants, the regime, while definitely beaten up, is going to survive. All right, on to goal number 2. Did the airstrikes at least end Iran's nuclear program for good? And again, the verdict is failure. Even after the earlier attacks in 2025, it's believed Iran is still sitting on enough enriched uranium to make about 10 nuclear bombs. But here's the really crucial part. The knowledge, the technology, the scientists, they're all still there. So without boots on the ground to go in and physically dismantle everything, the potential to rebuild the program remains. That's another goal missed.
Okay, last one. What about neutralizing Iran as a military threat? Did they at least get that done?
Now, this one's a little tricky. It's kind of a yes and no situation. If you're talking about Iran's regular conventional military, its air force, its navy, its big bases, then yeah, that's a success. That stuff is absolutely devastated. But that's not really the war Iran was fighting, is it? Its asymmetric capability, its power to build and fire off missiles and drones to threaten its neighbors, that's still intact. So on the metric that actually matters most, it's a failure. So let's just put it all together. What's the final picture here? Iran is in ruins. It's going to take them decades to recover from the physical destruction. But, and this is a huge but, its attackers failed. They didn't achieve any of their 3 main strategic goals. They didn't topple the regime, they didn't end the nuclear program, they couldn't stop the blockade of Hormuz, and they couldn't even protect their own allies in the region. And that throws us right back to the question we started with. Tactically, the US and Israel won every battle. They dominated. But strategically, they failed to achieve their objectives. So forces us to ask this really uncomfortable question: when a superpower can cause so much destruction but still can't achieve its core goals against a weaker enemy fighting a different kind of war, who really wins?